Hi everyone, welcome back. Today's video I have so been looking forward to filming because I will be sharing my 2024 favorites with you. So all the things that made me happy this year. I'm not only going to mention products in today's video because I know that, this time of year with these like so-called must-have product favorite videos out there, it can get a little bit annoying. So I wanted to do it differently. I do have some products on the list just because I've really been loving them and I think that you might really like them too. So want to share, but I also have books, movies and shows, food and recipes, cleaning supplies, exercise routines, video games, YouTube channels, just all the things that I have loved and appreciated this year. Always important to be clear when it comes to these things, so I will be naming a few brands in today's video, but the video is not sponsored by anyone, so these are just my own personal favorites. Some of the products have been gifted to me, so I got them for free, in which case I will clearly mention it, but they didn't send them to me in exchange for a video. They don't know that I'm making this video. I just got them earlier this year and I really like them, so I wanted to share because I think that many of you might like them too. And as always, just because I like these things doesn't necessarily mean that everyone will, so keep that in mind. I will try my best to link as many of the items as I can in the description box below, but if you already have something else that works or you just think like it's not really for you, then that is absolutely fine. If I'm using Amazon links, then that means that they are affiliate, so if you use those links to get anything, doesn't even have to be the thing that I'm talking about, can be anything through my link, then I will get a small commission, but again, absolutely no pressure. Or if you can find, for example, some of these books elsewhere or in a library or something, do that. So with that out of the way, let's begin with the video. I'm going to use video chapters for all the different categories of favorites, so feel free to use the chapters. And let's begin with the first category, which is products. First product on the list is my new e-reader. This is the Kobo Clara HD black and white. So earlier this year, unfortunately, my trusted friend, my previous Kobo e-reader that I've had for, I don't know, like 11 years, something like that, ended up breaking, so I had to replace it. You may know about me, I love e-readers and I love ebooks, so I really did want another Kobo. I was really happy with my previous one, and I decided to go for this one. I did do my research and looked at all the different models that they had. This was actually the most basic model that they had. It was also the cheapest one that they had. And I did look into all the other sizes and all the other features, but I just realized I just want something to read my books. I don't need colors. I don't need huge sizes and all the other things. I just want to be able to read my book. So I just went with this one and I'm very happy with my choice. I also love the case that you can get with it because you can fold it over like this and then set it on something to read in like a cafe, which I actually do quite a lot. And my previous cover wasn't able to do that. So I would just always kind of balance my e-reader on my teacup or something, which is not ideal. So I actually really like this cover too. And a funny thing for me was, even though this is the most basic model, it was a huge upgrade from the one that I had previously, just because like turning over a page took like 2-3 seconds with my old e-reader because it was so old, and I kind of got used to it, so I didn't really realize by the time I still had a few lines to read, I would already like flip it over because I knew that it would take a while. And with this one, as soon as I flipped it over, I was like, oh, I wasn't done reading the page yet. And I had to kind of get used to the fact that this is much faster and it's like instant. So that's pretty cool. Next up is a nail polish brand called Sienna Byron Bay. So I've basically always used nail polish ever since I was like 8 or something. And I kind of alternate between just a clear coat, nothing fancy, and sometimes I want a color on my nails. Like this one I have on my nails right now. I don't know if you can see. Anyway, I was looking for a non-toxic nail polish brand, and that's how I came across Sienna Byron Bay, and I contacted them and they were kind enough to send some over for me. I have a couple different colors nail polishes, and then I also have their cuticle oil and just like the clear coat, which is also, I think, a nail strengthener. I've really been liking these. They are made with natural ingredients, they're vegan and cruelty-free. They have the Made Safe certification because it's kind of scary, the kind of things that they can put in nail polishes. So this just kind of makes me feel a little bit better about using nail polish. They also do their best when it comes to sustainability and ethics, and they use natural ingredients like sugarcane, cassave, and corn. So pretty cool. And I like how these go on. So they are pretty easy to use, and they're pretty thin, but they do give a lot of coverage. So I only have to use like 2 very thin layers on my nails, and then they give really good coverage. They also don't streak or clump in any way, which I really appreciate. I do find that these start to chip maybe a little bit earlier than some of the other brands of nail polishes that I've used. So maybe after like 2-3 days they might start to chip a little. You need to kind of brush up on them. But for me, that is a worth it trade-off. If I can use a nail polish that doesn't have all these nasty ingredients, makes me feel a little bit better and a little bit safer. So I personally don't mind that. And this cuticle oil feels so nice on my cuticles and it's not greasy, which I really appreciate. So this one I use all the time. Okay, I flipped everything around because the lighting was so weird. It was really dark. It's like 2:30 in the afternoon and the sun is already going down. But then because the sun was like right in my eyes, it was blinding me. So I flipped everything around. I hope it's better now. Next item I wanted to mention is our new knife set. So we replaced our really old knife set this year with a knife set that is actually good quality, and I learned the benefits of having actually sharp knives for the first time in my life. It does make cooking and chopping veggies and stuff a lot easier, so I'm really happy. These are from KitchenAid and it was a really simple knife set, nothing like, I didn't need like 20 different knives. So this was perfect for me. And also what I really like about this one is that it has a built-in sharpener. So I can just sharpen my knives on the same block that they are in, which would actually help me to actually do that because I didn't used to really sharpen my knives. And when it comes to minimalism, I just always really appreciate items that are high quality and that you can actually make last for a really, really long time. And having that sharpener in the same block is really going to help me do that, I think. So that's one of the reasons why I'm so excited about them. Next up is my new sunscreen. This is the Altruist Face Fluid SPF 50. So earlier this year I mentioned in a video that I really wasn't such a big fan of the sunscreen that I was using, and I asked you all for recommendations and I got like 1,000 recommendations, so that was really, really cool. Thank you all so much. One of them that came back time and time again, many people mentioned this one, was the Altruist Face Fluid SPF 50. So I tried it and I love it. It applies well, it's not sticky or greasy. You can use this underneath makeup. It is broad spectrum protection and it feels really nice and hydrating on my skin. And the best thing is even that this is not as expensive as some of the other sunscreen brands out there. This is such good high protection, like even a lot more than is like legally required as like a minimum. But it is still much more affordable than some of the other like really expensive ones out there. So I feel like this is just very doable for me to use on my face every day. So if you are still looking for a good sunscreen, I can recommend this one. Another one of my favorites is a clothing brand called Not Perfect Linen. They make ethical and sustainable linen clothing and also like some linens for your bed and for your kitchen and stuff. I've mentioned them before in a few videos already because I'm really a big fan of their clothing items. These items were gifted to me earlier this year. I've been wearing them a ton. This shirt is actually from them. It's like an oversized button shirt. I've worn this in my videos a few times already. I also got a dress from them and like looser fitting pants and a top. And yeah, you can just really tell the high quality and the details, just the love and care that is put into these garments. And I feel like if I really take care of them, these can last me years and years and years. They're based in Lithuania, they're a family-run brand, and many of their items are made to order. So it can take a few days if you order something for it to be shipped out, because they actually make it when people order it, which is again a part of their sustainability practices and stuff. Just a really great company. If you are looking for some linen stuff to wear, then I recommend checking them out. And the last one in the product category for today is a jewelry brand called Ana Luisa Jewelry. I've had pieces from them for many, many years. I worked with them. I don't even remember when this was, but it was years ago. I did a few sponsor videos. I got a few necklaces, got a few earrings, got a few rings, and these are still basically the only or almost the only jewelry that I wear, and the pieces still look exactly the same as when they sent them to me years ago. So the high quality just really is there, and that's why every time I want a new jewelry piece, I first go look at Ana Luisa. And this year I kind of wanted to up my earring game, so to speak, because I've always been a little bit afraid of earrings, wearing anything but like basic studs, because I felt like hoops or other kind of earrings would look weird on me. I don't really know why I thought that. I actually mentioned once or twice to my boyfriend that I felt like they made me look like a pirate. And so earlier this year I was like, no, why do I think this? What is this based on? And I actually really like when people wear more like chunky earrings or like hoops, where it's like the earrings are a bit more visible, and I really wanted to give it a try. So for my birthday, I asked for a few more earrings for my boyfriend, and he got me, and I'm really happy with them, and I actually really think that they look rather nice on me and not like a pirate at all. So if you ever think like, yeah, that particular thing looks weird on me and you haven't tried it in a while, here's your friendly reminder to just give it a try, because you really might like it. And like I said, the quality just really is there. So I'm really happy with my Ana Luisa pieces. They're also a more ethical and sustainable company when it comes to jewelry. They use recycled materials and things like that. So if you are in the market for jewelry that is made in a more ethical and sustainable way, and also that doesn't cost an arm and a leg, which is very important, I can recommend checking them out. I get a ton of questions about where I get my earrings from, because I've been wearing them in my videos, and people are all like, oh, you're wearing like earrings now. Where are they from? So, that's where they're from. All right, next category is a fun one, and that is books. So the first book that I want to mention is Magician from Raymond E. Feist. This book was recommended to me by a good friend of ours, and I really, really enjoyed it. It is kind of like a classic fantasy Lord of the Rings vibes story. There are dwarves and elves and like different realms of men who are always in war with each other, and there's just a lot of like classic fantasy vibes. Obviously, like nothing comes close to the Lord of the Rings. So I'm not saying it compares to that, because nothing really does either. But I really enjoyed this book. It is the story of Pug and Thomas, two boys of around 14, I think, in the village of Cryde. And the village is like a little bit like on the outskirts of the kingdom. And Pug eventually apprentices for the magician in that little town, and Thomas for the swordmaster, so he becomes a soldier. And after a while, a ship comes to the village of Cryde, like to the beach, and they find this like very weird ship with all these weird items that they've never seen before. And eventually they also come across a few survivors of the shipwreck, and they also look very weird, and they have weird clothing, and they don't speak the language and stuff. So there's all this mystery of like, who are these people, where are they from? Yeah, the story goes from there. I'm not gonna say anything more about it, but that's kind of like the gist. There are a few things that maybe are not like the greatest, especially just a few things like the characters felt very lively. The world building was really, really good. But sometimes smaller things happened to the characters that I felt like they could have a greater reaction to than they were having. And it felt a little bit like not as lively as it could have been. Like I wanted them to, I don't know, suffer a little bit more, or like when something like bad happened, I wanted to see something more, like more of an emotional reaction, if you get what I mean. And sometimes it felt a little flat because of that. But I think that this was also his first book that he ever wrote. And so maybe that shows a little bit, but overall, this book was really, really good, I think. And I had a blast reading this. This is part of the Rift War saga. And there are 2 more books in this particular trilogy, but in the whole like universe, I think there are like more than 20, so there's a lot. I'm definitely going to read parts 2 and 3 of this trilogy next year myself, and I'm really looking forward to it. So if you are in the mood for some classic fantasy vibes, give it a try. Next up is another series, The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. I finally read them this year. I've never read the books, I've never seen the movies, and I figured, you know, it was time for me to give the Hunger Games books a try. I'm going to keep this short because I could easily talk for 30 minutes alone about the Hunger Games and how life-changing these books are. They are so good. Honestly, I watched the movies afterwards and they were not my favorite. I liked some things about them, but they didn't come close to the books for me. And just, these dystopian books that make you really question and think about the world that we live in. And it had some really harsh realizations for me also that honestly broke my heart a little. And I still get emotional talking about these books. They mean a lot to me, and they really are so good. Obviously, these books are very violent, very cruel. The injustice, just the way that the few can rule the many, and how just, it's really triggering. And definitely look up trigger warnings, content warnings if you're sensitive to that. I felt like I could read these books, but I could not read them before going to sleep. So I usually only read 1 book at a time, but with the Hunger Games books, that I made an exception. I only read them during the day, and then at night before going to sleep, I read something else because they gave me nightmares. So keep that in mind, but oh my gosh, these books are amazing. And next up is another series that I reread this year, the Wallander series by Henning Mankell. Mankell? I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Henning Mankell. I read these books ages ago and I really liked them, and this year actually my boyfriend had the idea to reread all of them, and at first I was like no. But then I felt like, yeah, actually it could be really fun, so I gave them all another read. This is a Swedish crime detective series where there's a murder and then there's a police detective team trying to solve the murder, and sometimes as a reader you also don't know who did it, but sometimes you kind of do know, and then you kind of watch them come closer to the killer, and there's always this sense of urgency where they have to find the killer before they strike again. You know, that kind of classic storytelling is going on. If you like mystery where you have to like pick up on clues to figure out who did it and stuff like that, like Agatha Christie vibes, this is not that. It is much more about the main character, Wallander, and Wallander is why I love these books so much. He's a very flawed man, but he feels so real to me. I feel like Wallander actually exists. He doesn't always take good care of himself. He doesn't value himself very highly. He has very low self-esteem. You read a lot about his very rich inner world filled with nostalgia for the past, his regrets about things he wished he had done differently or that he could do over. Also, just kind of like his deep self-loathing, as well as his troubled relationships with his father, his estranged ex-wife, his daughter. Just there's a lot there to this character that makes these books come alive for me so much. And also his colleagues feel very like real people to me. Combine that with like cool murder mystery stories, and then also the beautiful descriptions of the scenic countryside in Skåne, Sweden. Please, anyone from Sweden watching this, let me know how to pronounce Skåne. But that's where these books take place, and it's just really special in my opinion. The only thing is, and that's why I don't know if I would recommend picking up these books necessarily, is that I feel like book 1, these are 10 books by the way, I've read all 10 of them, but this time I skipped parts 2 and 3. So book 1 is pretty decent, then books 2 and 3 kind of are not. In my opinion, they are not the best. Then books 4 and 5 are again pretty decent. Book 6 starts to pick up, that's where it starts to get really fun, and then books 7, 8, 9 and 10 are amazing, like super good. So That's why I have a little bit of trouble recommending this series to anyone, because you kind of have to go through the first bit to get to where it really starts getting good. But if you just start reading at like book 6 or something, you're gonna miss like a lot. So I wouldn't recommend that. Just so you know, like, it gets better and better. And the last book that I wanted to mention, of course I've read a lot more books, but I wanna, like, this is just my favorites, is When Things Don't Go Your Way by Haimin Sunim. So this is a non-fiction book that I purchased this year and I really, really loved. It's just full of little wisdoms and ways to view life when things are hard, you know, when you've hit a rough patch, and it's very comforting. This is just one of those books that I like to pick up like a little bit here and there. You can just basically open up this book on a random page, read like maybe 10 or 20 pages and come away with something that is helpful to you right now. That's how these books feel to me. All right, next up is another one of my favorite categories, food and recipes. So of course, you know me, I love tea, so I'm going to mention some teas for you. This year again, one of my favorites. I can't make a favorites video and talk about tea and not include EBOOKS tea. I've talked about them in my last year's favorite video too, I realized that, but they are where I get all my green teas from, my sencha, my matcha, and in my opinion, they are the best. I still love my teas from them. Every time I order, I get really happy. So if you ever want to try Japanese green tea, I recommend checking out EBOOKS. I also want to mention Clipper tea. I really like this. This one is Tokyo Gardens. This is green tea with jasmine and peach. And when I saw this, I kind of went crazy a little bit. I was so happy because that sounds exactly like something that I would like. And it was. And then another one of my favorites is Snore and Peace. Something about this tea, if I make this like right before going to bed, I am going to be snoring on the couch. I don't know what's in here, but it really helps to calm down and get ready for bed, and it also tastes really nice. I really like Clipper teas. These are usually a little bit too steep for me in terms of price. One of these cartons is usually €4 here, and there are 20 tea bags in there. So it is like a little bit on the higher price side, but sometimes they are on sale and you get buy one get one free, and then I will go crazy. And I have been known to buy like a few shopping bags like with 30 different things of this when they are buy one get one free, and then just use them up for the months after that until the next time they go on sale. That's kind of how I do it with these. I looked them up on the Good Shopping Guide and they get a really high score in terms of like ethical performance. They are a B Corporation, they are fair trade, and they are organic. The tea bags are also like not bleached and biodegradable, so I think that they are doing a good job in terms of those things, which is also really important. I love so many of their flavors, but especially the Snore and Peace and the Tokyo Gardens. These are really nice. Next up in the food category is this Typhoon Black Forest Tofu. There is some kind of magic going on with this tofu, let me tell you. This is so tasty. I know it doesn't look like much. It's just this kind of little like brown brick that you get, but you cut this into slices and then you fry them on both sides until they're nice and golden brown. And then I add these to any kind of potato dish. You can add them to rice or noodles, anything you like that you can add tofu to. And this is like, if you can get Typhoon Black Forest tofu, give this a try. But I don't know if Black Forest is like a kind of flavor or something, or that like multiple brands have Black Forest flavor. I'm really not sure. But the thing is, it has like onions and certain kind of spices, some kind of magic with this. It has so much flavor and I just really, really like this. There's nothing I could compare it to in terms of flavor, almost a little bit like mushroomy, even though there are no mushrooms in there. So I don't know what they're doing, but I never want them to stop. I just hope that this will not get discontinued in the store where we get it, because that's like a real thing. If you're a vegan and you find a product that you really like from a smaller brand, they often get discontinued after a while, which really sucks. So I hope that this doesn't happen with this one, because I love this. Another one of those that I really love are these wheaty salami slices. So these are made of seitan, which means that they have a ton of protein. They're also organic, no artificial flavors, anything like that. I love anything from wheaty, but especially these salami slices. I have eaten so many of these in 2024. I honestly think it would be an embarrassing number if I knew how many salami slices I've eaten this year. But the thing is, like, when you think of salami, you usually think of like garlic and really heavy flavors where you really start to like smell after you eat it. This is much friendlier. I like how much protein this has. It's really filling. And I just really like the salami slices. This has been a staple for me in 2024. Also, this one, the Gondino vegan Parmesan cheese. This is epic. So it's from Italy, it is handmade, and it is so good. It has so much flavor. It's made in Tuscany. This is based on chickpea flour, so it's not just coconut oil, starch, and water, although it does have those things, but it also has chickpea flour. When it comes to vegan cheeses, I have to be honest, like, I think they are improving. They are a lot better now than back when I first went vegan around 6 years ago, and I'm sure 6 years from now they will be even better. So the vegan cheeses are up and coming. However, I have tried many vegan cheeses that I just didn't really like. That said, with this Parmesan, I think this comes really, really close to how I experience Parmesan cheese. It's really salty. It has such umami. We use this on pastas and things like that, but I also just really like having a few slices on toast. It's really flavorful, and I've tried many of their Gondino cheeses because they also have them with truffle and chili peppers and all kinds of different flavors. I love them all, but in the end I am going to go with the actual, like, l'originale Parmesan cheese. This is the best in my opinion. It's so tasty. If you can get your hands on this one where you live, give it a try because it's really worth it. Next category is movies and TV shows, and I want to talk about something, okay? The Sopranos. We just finished watching this show last week, and it's been on my mind ever since then. I've watched so many interviews and cast reunion videos, and I'm a little bit obsessed right now with this show, and I just cannot get it out of my head. I don't know why I never saw this. This is not a new TV show. Like, the suggestions in today's video are not things that came out in 2024. They are things that I enjoyed in 2024, and this show is already like 25 years old, something like that. And I just never heard of it. And apparently it was this huge thing, and I never heard of it. And a friend of ours recommended it earlier this year. He said that was really great, so we gave it a try. And like, starting from season 1, episode 1, I was hooked. And it is about this, the main character, Tony Soprano, who is the boss of a mob family in New Jersey, and then he's also the head of his own family, the Soprano family. So he, on the one hand, is this mobster that's like very cold-blooded and does really horrible things, and then he's also this guy leading this kind of pretty basic suburban life with his family, you know, grilling the meat on barbecues and providing his family with comfort and affluence. Tony Soprano is a really good anti-hero. He's a horrible person, but you also kind of get him in a way. He is the guy that plays him is such a good actor, and just the way that his mood shifts in like a microsecond, and this aggression and anger that can come from him. He also suffers from pretty debilitating anxiety, panic attacks, and depression, and then he talks about that with his therapist, Dr. Melfi, who is also awesome. And so through these therapy sessions, you kind of learn more about what's going on inside his own head. It has themes of power, morality, greed, and also just the way that people are willing to kind of look the other way as long as they can lead a comfortable life. Just not really wanting to know more about where that comfort actually comes from. It really doesn't follow any of the like classic mobster storytelling methods. It's also really funny. It's almost like a cross between a comedy and a drama series. It is really, really violent, but the violence is not there for most of the show. It is pretty quiet. But then when the violence is there, it is so realistic. It doesn't glamorize it and make it look like this epic thing. It's always really like ugly and dry or like anticlimactic. It doesn't like build up to this huge thing where a main guy gets whacked. He just suddenly gets whacked and you don't see it coming. It's really strange. It really has its own rules about storytelling, and I just really liked it. I thought it was very well executed. The actors were so great. The writing is so good. The directing is so good. Everything about this show is amazing in my opinion. And also the ending. When I first saw the ending, not gonna say what happened obviously, but I was flabbergasted. I was confused. I was like, eh? And then I kind of just sat with it for a while and I looked some things up about it, and now I think it was genius. It was such a good ending, and I think the ending being the way that it was is one of the reasons that it is staying with me right now. I can't shake it. It's a really good show. All right, another one that is so close to my heart is a movie, The Boy and the Heron, from Studio Ghibli that came out, well, here in the Netherlands. I watched this in the theaters in January. And so this is the newest Studio Ghibli movie directed by Hayao Miyazaki, and it is his final work, although he has said that before, so you never know. I don't know if you know this about me, but Studio Ghibli movies have a very special place in my heart. I've never been able to see one in the theaters, so when this came out, I was there. I watched it twice, and I loved seeing it on the big screen. It is the story about a young boy named Mahito, and his mom died because of the war in the hospital, and so this is a story about grief and healing from grief, healing from trauma. It is a very emotional movie, although it is also really fantastical. It feels like a fever dream. I can totally see how so many people who watch this only once kind of go away from this experience thinking like, what did I watch? Like, there's a lot going on in this movie. Like I said, it is a story about grief and how Mahito deals with losing his mother. Is very emotional, and I think the heron in the story represents his grief in a way, because he tries to first ignore it, then fight it, and then eventually he kind of accepts it and starts befriending it even. So I feel like we go on this journey with Mahito when it comes to that. But also it is a very personal film for Hayao Miyazaki, because it also deals with his own grief about getting older, about retiring and not being able to leave the Studio Ghibli in the hands of a clear successor, which is also a theme in the movie. Also, the soundtrack in this movie is amazing. I love Joe Hisashi's work. I've seen him live last year in London, and that is why I think also this soundtrack is really special to me, because he performed the song Ask Me Why live during that concert, and this movie wasn't out yet, so it was like a special gift to his fans that he already played some of the music from this film. And now every time I hear this movie, like the opening song, this movie, it means a lot to me. I think you can tell. Anyway, I didn't expect to get through this without crying, and apparently I'm not going to, but what can I say about this movie? It's really beautiful, but you have to give it a fair chance. And maybe if you're interested after watching this, what really helped me was watching it again. And also looking up some YouTube videos about like all the symbolism and all the mythology in this movie. There's a lot. It goes very deep, and you're likely going to miss a lot on your first or second watch, and that is fine. Just take it at face value and then learn a bit more about it. That really helps me appreciate it even more. Also, I will never look at parakeets the same way again, let me tell you. Another show that I really love this year is called Big Little Lies. It is this dark comedy drama series, and I've only seen season 1 so far. I actually watched the ending of season 1 last night. So there is a season 2, but I haven't seen it yet. It has a lot of famous actors like Nicole Kidman, let's see, Reese Witherspoon, Laura Dern, Zoe Kravitz. It's the story of these upper class moms who are on the surface leading these lives that seem to be very perfect. They have the perfect family, the huge, beautiful homes. They live on this beautiful coastal town in California, but they all have these really deep, dark secrets, and eventually someone gets murdered. You don't really know who that is or who did it, and you just kind of go along with the show, learning more and more about what happened. The acting especially I thought was very good, and every episode is very suspenseful. I especially really love the theme of female friendships and how women can, if we can band together and trust each other instead of being in competition with each other, then we can really like be a force to be reckoned with. The guys are also great in the show, but the women steal the show, in my opinion. And lastly, in this category is a show called The Bridge. And we rewatched this show this year. We saw it like a long time ago and we really liked it then. And we were just like, you know what I want to watch again? Let's watch The Bridge. So we did, and I loved it just as much. It's a Swedish detective show. They find a dead body on the bridge, like in the middle of the bridge between Sweden and Denmark. And so this Swedish detective named Saga Noren, she has to work together with the Danish detective Martin Rode to solve the murder. And it becomes clear that they are chasing a serial killer because it doesn't just end with one murder. I enjoyed the whole like figuring out who did it angle of the show, but I especially just really love the characters of Saga and Martin. The actress that plays Saga is just so incredible. She brings such depth, like emotional depth to the character, and I think that this was never confirmed by the writers, but many viewers interpret Saga as someone who has autism. And the guy who plays Martin Rode as well, he just has such like good eyes where there's such like emotional depth to them, where you can just stare at his face and feel all these conflicting things. And it's like these two characters together creates some kind of magic. I just really love this show. Next category is a small one, but I have some cleaning supplies that I really loved this year. So the first is the pink stuff, which is the Miracle cleaning paste. It is vegan, it's made with natural ingredients, and I was just really curious. But the thing is with this stuff, I don't know, it just works on so many different things. It is pretty friendly to use, but it gets out anything that I've used this on so far, from like everyday cleaning stuff around the house, but I also use this to clean up battered looking sneakers and things like that. It's 99% natural ingredients, environmentally non-toxic, non-hazardous formulation, and not tested on animals. And so far it gets everything out. So it kind of is a miracle cleaning paste for me, and I will definitely be repurchasing once this runs out. Also, the Scrub Mommy. So maybe you're watching this and you're just like, yeah, I know, we've had this for years, but I tried this year and I love it. And I kind of never gave this a chance because I figured like, it's a sponge, like how is that different from the sponge that I always use? But it is very different. It's much better. So I had the option of choosing between Scrub Mommy and Scrub Daddy. And I went for the Scrub Mommy because it also has this soft side. So it has like the hard side and the soft side. And especially when you combine it with that pink stuff, this gets out anything from anything. I put this in a dishwasher. It's so durable. I've had this for I don't know how long, like, I don't know, maybe a year or something. And it still looks really good. And I don't think I'll ever be purchasing another sponge. I'll always go for the Scrub Mommy from now on. You know, I'm a Scrub Mommy girly now. And last up in this category is the Everdrop bathroom cleaner. I don't know if this is a Dutch brand or if this is also available in other countries. I tried this year and I really like it. You can just buy this spray thing and it really is very durable. And then you can just buy the like little sachets with powder that you can put in here, fill it up with water, and you know, zero waste cleaning stuff. But especially the reason why I love this is that it actually works. And I have to honestly admit, I was a little bit skeptical at first because I felt like, okay, is this really going to get rid of what's that called in English? Kalkanslag? Scale? Well, you know what I mean, like the stuff that you have when your bathroom gets dirty. But yeah, it actually gets rid of everything. It's also like vegan, plant-based, natural ingredients, all that good stuff. So I really like it, and I will be purchasing. They also have like an everyday all-purpose cleaner and something else, I'm not sure. But I'll definitely be trying the all-purpose cleaner as well because I really like the bathroom one. Alright, next category is video games and board games. First up, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Final Fantasy VII, the original Final Fantasy VII, is one of my favorite games of all time. It has iconic characters, it has iconic music, it has a really great story, even though it doesn't explain anything very well. You have to kind of really think about it. But Final Fantasy VII was groundbreaking, and I have played that game, like the original one, my boyfriend too, and we've played it together. Like, I've played it probably like 4 or 5 times. And so when they announced that they were going to be making a complete remake of that game with like today's graphics and everything else, I was ecstatic. Eventually, I found out that they were going to do that in 3 video games instead of the one that it was originally. Like, they were going to be making it into 3, which I found not surprising because, you know, they can make more money that way. That's usually how things are being done. So I was like, okay, fine. And then the first of the 3 came out, and honestly I was a little bit disappointed. It had some good things that I really liked, and I loved seeing the characters come to life in such a beautiful way, but it just didn't really give me what I was hoping for as a Final Fantasy VII fan. But I think that many people felt that way, and I think that maybe they really listened to the criticisms that people had for that one, because then came Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So that is the second of the trilogy of the remakes, and this is so good. We've been playing this for about 60 hours now together, me and my boyfriend. We've had such fun with it, and we haven't finished it yet, so no spoilers, please. We are in the final chapter, so it won't take too long, but this has everything that you want for a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It has the iconic characters, it has the iconic music. The first one kind of made the music into like remixes where you can almost not even recognize it. This one does exactly what you want it to do. It follows the storyline, it gives you everything you want. And you know, when it comes to Final Fantasy VII, anyone who has played that game will agree with me that you just want this, the Sephiroth music. You want the da 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 Sephiroth, you know? You want that stuff. Like, it was so epic, and this has it. It has it all. It has the epic Cosmo Canyon music that you just, oh, it actually made me cry when we first arrived into a very special town in the story, and it had the music. It had it. It's so good, and it is just perfect. It's perfect. Another RPG that I played this year, I played this one myself because we played it on the Switch, and we have the Switch handheld. So I can't play that together. Usually we try to play everything together because it's just such fun to do that together. In this case, I played it myself. It was Bravely Default 2. It just has all the old school RPG vibes that you want. There's nothing like necessarily groundbreaking about this one, but the battle system, the characters, the conversations, just everything, like the RPG vibes were all there, and I had such a blast with this game. So anyone who loves old school JRPGs and hasn't tried Bravely Default 2, I recommend giving it a try. I had a lot of fun with it. I also have a board game, Fantasy Realms. So we got this year because a friend of ours is really into board games, and he usually brings one with him when he visits us to play with each other. So, and my boyfriend and I really enjoyed this one, so we decided to get one for ourselves so we could also play this with just the 2 of us. It's a card game, so what I love about this is that it doesn't have anything complicated to set up. It's also like a kind of a small box, so it doesn't take up much space in your home the way that some board games can do. And basically you just want to get like the highest points with these cards. So every card has a base value, but they also have synergy with each other. So the thing is that you want to collect a certain amount of cards within a certain amount of time that have good synergy with each other so that they strengthen each other and that you can get a high point score. So for example, this card is worth 9 It has a base value of 9, but it also has a bonus that you can get 50 more points if you also have a card called Smoke and a card called Wildfire. So that's kind of like how it works. And then some cards don't have bonuses, but they have penalties. So it, you know, minus 10 points for every leader card, or like, you know, you want to make it so that all the cards work with each other, and then within a certain amount of time get the highest score possible. So it is really nice. It's not very complicated. I feel like after practicing with this once, everyone can play this game and have fun, but it's still challenging because you have to remember, like, after a while you're holding 8 cards in your hand and you have to kind of figure out like which one work with which, and you know, it's just a lot of fun. Next category of favorites for me this year in 2024 is exercising routines. And the first that I want to mention is just going for an early morning walk. So we get up at like 5:15, and in the summertime I went for an early morning walk at around 6 a.m. It's really nice to start your day off like that, getting some light on you. Like right now it is much too dark, so I like to wait until after lunch instead of after breakfast to go on my walk. And I don't always, like some weeks I skip them, but I do really try to do it at least like 2 or 3 times a week now. Another is a YouTube channel that I've been doing a lot this year and really enjoying. It is called Eleni Fit. She has all kinds of workout videos, different lengths, different difficulties. I usually go for the ones that are no jumping because I live in an apartment, and so I want to keep the noise level down to a minimum because I don't want to scare the downstairs neighbors by, you know, doing jumping jacks and stuff. But she has a lot of those Pilates vibes, dancey vibes. She has with or without weights, and I just kind of mix and match depending on my mood. I always feel like I'm getting a good workout when I do her videos, but still within reason. Like, it's not too challenging. I feel like I can still like breathe through it. And of course, the queen, Yoga with Adriene. It is another one of my favorites this year. If I do a yoga video, it will always be one of hers because I just like her videos the best. If you enjoy doing yoga at home, or if you're just curious, I recommend trying one of hers. All right, we've come to the end of the video, and I feel like I've yapped your ears off, but that's what happens when I talk about things that I love. I get all like excited about them. Let me know your thoughts. I would love to know of the things that I mentioned in this video. Do you also know them? What are your thoughts? I would love to know. Thank you so much for sticking around until the end of the video. I really appreciate that. And a very special thank you to my patrons who are also supporting the channel. As always, questions, comments, conversations down below. Thank you so much for being here, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. I will see you all again next week. Bye bye. Have you also seen The Boy and the Heron, and what do you think? I would love to know. Is it one of your favorite Studio Ghibli movies or not? Let me know.